Ta-da! Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Yes, that amazing, wonderful, beautiful reminder that we get to choose. Now think about that. You get to choose, I get to choose, we all get to choose what things mean. Everything is fundamentally meaningless. And with that choice of giving meaning to that which is fundamentally meaningless, we get to lead ourselves onto a vibratory state. And what's that vibratory state? It's called feeling. Okay, think about that. It's feeling. Feeling is the secret. When you learn to lead yourself on to a frequency, into a feeling, that's when you have control of your life. And the most beautiful part about this is that you can condition yourself to do that. You can train yourself. It's like that movie, How to Train a Dragon. You can train the dragon in you, right? You can condition yourself to have powerful thought habits. And see, that's where it's at. It's incredible. I always love to think about habits, by the way. Habits are incredible. They are God's gift to me to make my life easy. They're God's gift to you to make your life easy. Think about how difficult your life would be if you didn't have this ability to form habits. I mean, they're crazy, awesome, good. See, the issue is not about whether or not habits are crazy, awesome, good. The issue is that we have bad habits. Okay, so with that, use what we're sharing with you here to form powerful thought habits. And then from there, my God, you don't have to worry about anything. You'll no longer be a victim of circumstance. You'll be achieving things that you've never achieved before, of which will be amazing, grand, and spectacular. It's an amazing way to live. So use this. All right. So with that being said, make sure that you have your goal card with you. Okay. You got to have this wonderful, beautiful idea with you that you can refer to and read and become one with while you're using this information. And again, make sure that that's something that you're making important. Now, with regards to the book that we've been studying the Master Key System. Okay. For those of you who don't have this, make sure you get it. It's an incredible, beautiful jewel of wisdom. There's so many tidbits of crazy, awesome power in here. So, but the thing is, remember, you got to use it. If you don't use it, it's not going to help you. You got to use it. All right. So let's dive into where we left off from in the last session, shall we? Here we go. Let me go ahead and shift this over. Boom. Ah, it's so cool. Now, in the last paragraph that we went over, we we're talking about the power within and how it's through thought that we're able to experience changes in our life. Remember, your imagination is the only weapon you have to combat what's happening in your life, and it's your imagination that you get to use to lead you into new possibilities, which is why we were able to fly, soar in the air, which is why we've been able to travel on these big, amazing ships, which is why we've been able to be here in these calls with this technology of Zoom, which is why we've been able to do anything and everything. See, it's the power inside of us that yields the outcomes, that yields the results. Write this in your notes. Thought externalizes itself. This is so important for you to get, for you to understand, not to know, for you to understand. Now, remember, though, the only way you're going to understand it is through the practice of what I'm sharing with you. Now, here, it's, he points out that it is a scientific method. Okay. This method is scientific, and it is the only method by which to what? To retain that degree of liberty and freedom, which we have been accustomed to look upon as an inalienable right. Okay. And it's an inalienable right because as a people is safe at home and in the world only of national preparedness means such things as a growing surplus of health, accumulated efficiency, in public and private business of whatever sort, continuous advance in the science of art of acting together, and the increasingly dominant endeavor to make all of these and all other aspects of national development center and revolve around ascending life, single and collective, for which science, art, and ethics furnish guidance and controlling motives. Now, what does that whole word salad mean? Because that was a massive word salad. It's like, oh my God, what does it mean? What it means is this simply. What it means is that as within, in other words, when you shift that inner narrative inside, you will be led to being efficient, to achieving amazing, incredible things, provided you are making that kind of arrangement within you. That's all it means. It's very, very simple. Think about the continuous advancement of science and art that he's referring to. All of that advancement comes from thought energy, comes from thinking. Now, really grab onto what I'm saying here. That is at the core, everything there. When you start to live within, when you start to think from within instead of think from without, when you start to make a shift in that inner narrative in you, that's when your outcomes change. And that's when your guidance signals come in. That's what your intuition is. But see, again, guess who's got to do that? You're the one that has to apply that. You're the one that has to go through that experience. Now, think about that for you when it comes to this goal of yours. You got to remember that the advancement of you towards this is going to be solely based from what he just talked about. It's going to come from you tapping into your inner world. Now, yes, I'm repeating that. And I repeat a lot of stuff over and over again. By the way, I do that intentionally. Why? Because I understand the principle of repetition and how it's through repetition that we get things, right? That's how we get to understand things. Now, let's go further. The master key is based on an absolute scientific truth and will unfold the possibilities that lie dormant in the individual, that lie dormant in you. This is why this book is called the Master Key System. Hello, the Master Key System. Okay. This is why it's called this. Okay. The Master Key is based on an absolute scientific truth. It's not your truth. It's not my truth. It's a principled, foundational bit of information. Think about this. And it definitely does unfold possibilities in your life if you use the key. Now, I really want you to grab on to the key. Think of the word key and what you see when you see a key. You see a key, right? Now, does the key have any use? Now, that's a blanket question that you can think about. Of course, it has use. Well, that's not necessarily true, because the key can just sit on a table and do nothing. Therefore, it has no use. Why? Because it's not being used. See, the only way that the key has use is if it's used. Did you catch that? The only way that the key has use, the only way that it's going to serve its purpose to open up a lock is if you pick up the freaking key, put the key into the keyhole, and turn. Now, what is that? That's action. Okay, that's application. And why I'm emphasizing this is because, yes, even though it is 100% true that this master key is based on scientific truth and will unfold the possibilities that lie dormant in you, it will not open that gateway unless you use what's being shared. So again, it's based on an absolute scientific truth and will unfold the possibilities that lie dormant in the individual and teach how they might be brought into powerful action to increase the person's effective capacity, bringing added energy, discernment, vigor, and mental elasticity. That will happen in you 100%. You will 100% increase your effectiveness. You will increase your capacity. You will definitely add energy into your life. You'll be able to have this incredible discernment and vigor and life and mental elasticity, but only if you exercise what's being talked about here. So when he says, for instance, imagine great things for yourself, literally imagine great things for yourself. Stay focused on how you would love things to be instead of as things as they are. He literally means to exercise that. He literally means to practice that. And what is that again? That's called thinking. See, that's moving the information around. It's not collecting the information, it's not memorizing it, it's using it, it's moving it around. Now, the student who gains an understanding of the mental laws which are unfolded will come into possession of an ability to secure results hitherto undreamed of and which will have rewards hardly to be expressed in words. This is exactly what will happen to you if you use what's being shared here, if you apply it. Now, again, I'm going to repeat this, and this is done intentionally because I want you to see the reason why things have not changed in your life. It's not because you don't have the knowledge. You do have the knowledge. It's not, again, it's not because you don't know what to do. You do know what to do. The issue is that the information is static, it's passive, it's something that you just look at and read and collect. And then you end up in this realm of analysis paralysis, saying, oh, I've got to think about that. I mean, really, isn't that something that many of us do, that most of us do, right? The information's there, and then we say this, I've got to think about it. No, it's not true. You don't have to think about anything when it comes to you moving forward. What has to happen within your mind is you've got to make a decision. You've got to commit. See, that is you shifting the narrative inside to use that knowledge to apply it. And that right there is what will shift your outcomes in your life in a dramatic way, way more than you've ever dreamt, if you'll just do that. Now, I'm going to read this paragraph again because it's so freaking great. Okay, the master key. Remember, key, you got to use the key in order for it to be effective, not to know it. The master key is based on an absolute scientific truth and will unfold the possibilities that lie dormant in the individual and teach how they may be brought into powerful action to increase the person's effective capacity, bringing added energy, discernment, vigor, and mental elasticity. The student who gains an understanding of the mental laws, which are unfolded, will come into the possession of an ability to secure results hitherto undreamed of and will have rewards hardly to be expressed in words. Now, I'm going to go over one more thing again with regards to this, and that is tied into the beginning of this sentence here. The student who gains an understanding. And my reminder for you is that the only way you will understand this is if you go through it, is if you experience it, is if you practice it. It's the only way to get understanding. It's not through the collection of the information. It's through the use of it. So use it. Now let's go further. It's so good, isn't it? It's amazing. It's so good. Oh my God. All right, now let's go deeper. It explains the correct use of both the receptive and active elements of the mental nature and instructs the student in the recognition of opportunity. So, in other words, when you dive into this information, you gain an understanding. Okay. Oh, I get it, which then explains the correct use. Because when you understand that, for instance, your results are there because of how you have been thinking, and that the only way to change those results is to change your thinking. But again, you discovered that because you started to think from this. And by the way, this reminds me of an exercise that I highly recommend that you do daily 3 times a day, which will help you to get this. And that is, make it a point to take some time to invest some of your time, your actions in the time, to look at things in the physical realm from the perspective that they were in someone's mind before they became the material thing, from the perspective that all of the physical things that you see was in someone's imagination. Remember, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. All things were made by imagination, and without imagination was not anything made that was made. And just go through your day, just doing that for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes, spaced out, 3 times a day. Practice that. If you practice it more, you'll get it more. The whole point being is when you are engaging with that, what are you doing? You're practicing that way of thinking. And then from there, all of a sudden the light bulb will come on and go, oh my God, I can change everything if I'll just change what I'm imagining to be true and if I'm loyal to that ideal. So, anyways, that's what he's talking about here. It explains when you're in it, when you get it, when you understand it, the correct use of both the receptive and active elements of the mental nature. And when that's there, it'll instruct you and help you to see opportunities. Now think about that. You'll be able to recognize things that are there, that have always been there, realizing that the only reason why you didn't see them was because of how you were thinking. Now think about that for you when it comes to your goal, what you're wanting to accomplish. Here's another important truth for you to get. The way for you to get this, for you to manifest this, it's already here. And in terms of the opportunities for you to take advantage of to get there, they are closer to you than the air you breathe. A lot of us talk about, for instance, it's about being at the right place at the right time, forgetting that you've got to be aware that you're right at the right place at the right time. Well, you're at the right place at the right time right now at this very moment to accomplish everything that has to do with this, to sync in with associating with other individuals and other opportunities that will lead you to this. And the only thing that's in the way of you seeing it is the frequency that you're on. It's what your level of awareness is what you understand. Now, again, really grab onto what I'm saying here. All of that will shift. You'll be able to see and recognize all of that the more you practice being who you would love to be, the more you apply these principles that are being shared with you. Now, what else happens? It strengthens the will and reasoning powers and teaches the cultivation and best uses of imagination, desire, and the emotions and the intuitional faculty. Think about this. He's talking about the higher mental faculties. This was from the early 1900s. How amazing is this? It gives initiative, tenacity and purpose, wisdom of choice, intelligence, sympathy, and a thorough enjoyment of life on its higher planes. Now, again, grab onto what's being represented here, what's being shared with you. There's an incredible power in you that will open up new possibilities in your life. All you have to do is think. Okay. And when I'm talking about think, I'm not talking about thinking about it. What I'm talking about is the movement of the information in your mind. It's about analysis. It's about imagining. It's about using your will. It's about, perceiving things differently. That's what you've got to do. And you've got to exercise that. And the more you exercise your mind, the more powerful your results will be. Now let's go further. The master key, now remember key, you got to turn it, okay, teaches the use of mind power. True mind power, not any of the substitutes and perversions. It has nothing to do with hypnotism, magic, or any of the more or less fascinating deceptions by which many are led to think that something can be had for nothing. All of you write this in your notes, write it around this paragraph, okay? Write this in notes, all capital letters. Everything has a price. When it comes to this and you materializing this, you must pay the price in order for this to be made manifest. You're not going to get this for nothing. You have to sacrifice. Sacrifice meaning you've got to let go of who you have been. Remember, in order for you to achieve something you've never achieved, you must become someone you've never been. Now, think about that. There's a price you must pay. Let's just use an example, okay? Remember the example that I shared with you about, okay, and I asked you this question, will you be able to be happy most of the time if you're constantly thinking sad thoughts? Isn't that a wonderful, beautiful example? The answer is undoubtedly no, right? It's a heck to the no, right? There's no way you're going to be able to be happy most of the time if you're constantly thinking sad thoughts. Now, remember, if you're constantly thinking sad thoughts, it means you're feeling sad. Well, if you want to be happy most of the time, you must sacrifice those thoughts that are no longer serving you. You must sacrifice those beliefs, those habits that have led you to be sad most of the time. You've got to let go of it. You got to create the space. And then from there, build within you the powerful habits of thinking happy thoughts. Now, think about that. That's the price you must pay. And that's a principle, and it applies to everything. You want to earn more. If you haven't been earning as much as you would love to earn, if things have been the same, you must sacrifice. You must pay the price of letting go of the concept of yourself that you've agreed to that has led to that outcome you don't like. You've got to change your attitude towards yourself. What's that phrase from Neville Goddard? Everything depends on your attitude towards yourself. That which you will not affirm as true of yourself can never be realized by you. For that condition alone is the means by which we realize our ideals. Now, again, grab onto that. Now, okay, fine, we know this, but then why is it so difficult for us to sacrifice, to let go of who we've been? Okay, this is where understanding paradigms comes into play. And remember what a paradigm is? Paradigm is a mental program in you. It's running 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that mental program has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior, and almost all of your behavior is habitual. A paradigm is a multitude of habits. See, that's the reason why it's so difficult to let go of who we've been, because we're used to being who we've been. It's familiar to us. It's in us subconsciously. But if you don't let go of that, and if you're unwilling to be courageous to release that, then unfortunately, your results will remain the same from 1 year to the next. It'll continue on and on and on. Things will not change for you. But that's not what these calls are about. It's about change. I just want to shake you up to help you to see that, to help to remind you that the only reason why you don't let go is just because you're used to it. It's in you subconsciously. Now, let's go further. The master key cultivates and develops the understanding which will enable you to control the body and thereby health. How many of you would love to control your body and control your health? Well, you do that through the use of your mind. I mean, really grab onto what I'm sharing with you. In Robert Collier's book, Secret of the Ages, he talked about how embedded within us is this incredible machine that does things automatically. And he brings up the example of when you cut yourself and how all of the internal forces in you automatically move to heal that wound. With that being said, he points out that that's happening because of something that's within you subconsciously. It's not something that you initiate in, intellectually. It's something that's happening in you because of a subconscious thought process that's happening in your mind, more specifically your subconscious mind. Now, again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you want there to be health in your life, you've got to start immersing yourself with thoughts of health, not of sickness. How many of you, for instance, when you're, I'm guilty of this, okay? When something's going on, you go into the, the, I guess you'd say that dark hole of Google to find out what's wrong. And then all of a sudden you start seeing things that are wrong. You go, what is this? This is, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Don't allow yourself to do that. Let the doctors do their things. You've got to focus from the health. You've got to focus from allowing your subconscious mind to move the chemicals that are within your body, to change that chemistry that's in you so that it can make a shift to make that change. Okay. But don't do that. Okay. It's not good. All right. So again, let's go back to this though. Okay. Now, the master key cultivates and develops the understanding which will enable you to control the body and thereby the health. Okay. Remember, you must build it in your own mind first. That statement from Robert Collier, the secret of all power, all success, all riches, all health, I added that, is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth, of supply, thoughts of health. We must build them in our own mind first. It improves and strengthens the memory and develops insight, the kind of insight which is so rare, the kind which is the distinguishing characteristic of every successful businessman, businesswoman, individual, the kind which enables men to see the possibilities as well as the difficulties in every situation, the kind which enables men to discern opportunity close at hand. I was just talking about this. For thousands fail to see opportunities almost within their grasp while they are industriously working with situations which under no possibility can be made to realize any substantial return. Now, again, really grab on to what he's talking about here. He just repeated what I shared with his language. The opportunities that are around you that will help you to get you into manifesting this in your life are around you, and they are closer to you than the air that you breathe. The only thing that's missing for you to see those opportunities is the awareness that you have. It's the frequency that you're on, which is why it's so important for you, for instance, to have a goal card, to write this stuff out, to use this information, because from that, you will go on to that right frequency, which then will lead you to being able to see that. And then from there, you got to act upon it. All right. So let's go a little bit further. Okay. Let's go a little bit further. So the master key develops mental power, which means that others instinctively recognize that you are a person of force, of character, that they do not want, that they want to do what you want them to do. Now, I'm going to go over that again. This is important for you. The more you apply this information, the more you use this, the more you're going to feel incredible, the more you're going to do, the more your outcomes are going to change, which means other people are going to feel that from you as well. Okay. You're feeling that as you're going through these calls with what we're sharing with you, right? You know what I'm talking about. So again, when you use this master key, that will happen in you, and people will start to recognize you as a wonderful force of leadership, as a wonderful force of creativeness, as a wonderful force of goodness. And you know what will happen from there? Because they see you as a leader, they will start to act upon things that are in harmony with the things that you're doing. Now think about that. Now, here he goes further. It means that you attract men, women, individuals, and things to you, that you are what some people call lucky. People will say, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. Oh, things are so easy for you. See, many people say that to me. Troy, you make it look so easy to be able to talk and speak the way that you speak. Yeah. Of course, it's easy for me to do this. You know why? Because I practice it, okay? Because I use the information, because I apply it. Right? Think about it. It's very simple. Of course, I make it look easy because I practiced it many, many times. The countless hours that I put into being in front of the camera to speaking. Oh my gosh, there are so many hours of this. And again, why is it easy? Because I used it. So that's what will happen with you when it comes to anything that you do when you apply it. People say, oh, you're so lucky. Oh, it's so easy for you. Yeah, of course it is. See, this is where habits come into play. And that's what they will say to you. But now, with this being said, we will continue this part here tomorrow because I want to lead into that. And I wanted you to see that this can happen for you if you just use it as intended. All right. Wow. So good, wasn't it? Type in the comments hearts if this rocked you in a magnificent, beautiful way. I hope it did for you because it did for me. Helped me to see even more. And that's another interesting thing too as well. There's always a better way. Write that in your notes. You'll always see things that are better than they were before. There's always ways to improve. And in terms of your awareness, there's an unlimited amount of awareness that you can achieve, which is really super awesome. So anyways, with that being said, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you were here in this call. But then again, the most important thing is you've got to use it. Now, as another reminder, remember we have Majestic Mastery on Saturday. And if you haven't registered, register and also invite someone. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. This information is incredible. It's helped you. Well, invite someone else so that they can use this in their life as well. All right. So from here, if you could all go ahead and unmute and share the magnificent golden rule. What's that golden rule, my friends?
Application.
Application, right?
Application.
Application. You got to use it, my friends. You don't use it, results don't get a change. We'll see you soon.